Today is November 21st, and today's quote is entitled Bhakti. It's such a nice word, Bhakti. A lot of emotion to it. It just feels good. Bhakti is not just a case of doing the right thing, but also feeling the right thing when you're doing it. Materially, we're very concerned about doing the right thing. Not necessarily concerned about feeling. Of course, in relationships, feeling is very important. In mechanics of getting a job done, putting in a new engine, painting a house, feeling is not always that important because you can do a good job even if you're not feeling well, if you're good at something. But in bhakti, if you do a good job, but you're not feeling bhakti, then you've done a bad job. So, I don't know if you know this, but sometimes the difference between the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance is, or the mode of passion, mode of goodness, is not what you're doing, but it's the consciousness with which you're doing it. Just like you can give in charity in the mode of passion, you can give in charity in the mode of goodness. So you're giving charity, but your consciousness is different. In passion, you're giving charity to get recognition. In goodness, you're giving charity because it's the right thing to do. And you're giving it to the right person, the right time, the right place. So externally, the act of charity is there. Maybe who you're giving it to, how you're doing it is slightly different, but the most important distinction is your consciousness. Why are you doing it? So in bhakti, the why is really everything. And what you're doing, how you're doing it, of course it's important to please Krishna. But the external success is not ultimately what's important. It's the internal success. The right consciousness, how you're feeling, what's the mood, and why are you doing it? Why are you doing devotional service? Why are you serving Krishna? Are you doing it to prove yourself? To prove that you're better? Are you doing it to get ahead materially? You may be doing very wonderful service and you're doing it to get some recognition. Then it's not wonderful service. Even though externally it's wonderful, but it's really not wonderful because Krishna's not really happy if we do it that way. So, the idea of today's quote is don't be mechanistic in what you're doing. In our japa workshops, we talk about this a lot, mechanistically chanting. Mechanistically chanting means to externally chant the Hare Krishna mantra properly, but internally not do it properly, not imbibe internally the proper moods. How does that happen? Well, I pronounce properly, I sit properly, I sit in the right direction, I sit in the right room. And I think the whole goal of chanting is to finish 16 rounds. Not to connect with Krishna, not to pray, not to feel the holy name, but to finish 16 rounds and do it pronouncing properly, sitting properly. I'm not saying that's bad to do that, but if that's all we're thinking about, if that's the focus of our consciousness, then that would be considered mechanically chanting. Or worse, lower stage, or worse position is I'm just chanting just to get them done. I'm not even trying to chant well. Not even trying to do the mechanics properly. I'm just chanting to get it done. And then when I get so, it's a very external thing. I did my 16 rounds, therefore everything is good. It's not true. Just because you did your 16 rounds, it doesn't mean it's good. Unless the proper attitude was there, proper consciousness, it's not really good. So we want to get away from mechanistic devotional service. That's the way the material world works. You get the job done. People don't really care so much about your consciousness. Although sometimes you can't get the job done without the right consciousness. But most of the time, you don't need really great consciousness to do most material things. If you have the skills, you get it done. But in bhakti, it's not like that. So this quote says, bhakti is not just a case of doing things right, but feeling the right thing while you're doing it. Because it's a relationship, that's why. It's a relationship with Krishna. So it's not just, I bought you flowers, but it's the mood with which I give you the flowers. Hare Krishna.